What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Shot Clock Scribbles. I am your host, Tendai Mkandurir. I'm recording this on Saturday, February 8th around 2:30 p.m. Pacific time over here on the West Coast. If you are a new listener, welcome. If you saw me on Instagram mentioning about the whole Luka thing before it all went down, welcome to the show. If you've been listening for a while, welcome back to the Shot Clock Scribbles, where the buzzer never stops, and neither does the action in the NBA, guys. This episode is all about breaking down the chaos of the trade deadline, who made the biggest moves, which teams shocked the league, and who completely fumbled the bag. We'll start by analyzing the most impactful trades, from superstar shakeups to under-the-radar steals that could change a team's season. Then we'll talk about the biggest surprises, whether it's a team going all in, a contender standing pat, or a sudden rebuild that no one saw coming. Of course, guys, no trade deadline is complete without grading the winners and losers. Which teams leveled up, which ones took a step back, and what does it all mean for the playoff picture? Get ready for a heated discussion, some bold takes, and plenty of debate. Oh yeah, a whole lot of those. Buckle up. This is Shot Clock Scribbles. Let's run it. First thing is first, we're going to be talking about the NBA trade deadline, talk about the 5 notable ones and some other notables that went down before the February 6th deadline. First thing is first. Number 1 is Luka going to LA. I don't think anybody saw this coming. I did mention this last season, if you guys have been listening for a while, that this is a possibility. It's a stunning move. The Dallas Mavericks traded their franchise star Luka Doncic along with Markieff Morris and Maxi Kleber to the Lakers. In return, the Mavericks received Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 first-round draft pick. This trade marks the first time in NBA history that 2 reigning All-NBA players were exchanged mid-season. The Mavericks' decision to part ways with Luka was unexpected, given his pivotal role in the team's success. Man, it's been a couple of days, damn near a week, since the trade went down. Still trying to process it. But as the time has gone by, in the very beginning, being a Lakers fan, I was pretty pissed off about shipping off our defensive anchor and our all-star to the Mavericks. But in return, like, the Lakers get Luka, and those guys are going to be set, guys, for the next 10 years or so if Luka stays in LA. Talked about it last season, guys. There's going to be a lot of pressure more than ever for Luka to perform at the highest level. The Dallas Mavericks just went to the NBA Finals last year, and you're parting ways with your franchise star. I don't really understand this move for Nico Harrison, and in what you got in exchange, you get AD, which is the biggest one, but you didn't get any of the young guys like Austin Reeves or even Rui Hachimura. Lakers just sent off Dalton Connect over to the East Coast in Charlotte, but didn't get enough in return, in my honest opinion. There's that picture that just surfaced yesterday of Nico Harrison and Rob Pelinka having some coffee across from the Mavericks home arena. Everybody's still shocked to this day. I don't think anybody saw this one coming, man. Absolutely nuts. The Dallas Mavericks are playing right now as we speak. They'll be just fine. Long story short, guys, what I want you guys to take away from this is the Lakers did this for their future. Not so much for right now, but for the future. The Dallas Mavericks, in Nico Harrison's press conference and all that, what I've gathered is these guys are all in right now. I don't really know for the Mavericks, betting on Kyrie and AD to stay healthy. One of those guys is not going to be healthy for the foreseeable future. Let's just call it how it is. These are stars in their mid-30s. They only have a couple more years left. They want to maximize the value and build around those 2 players. I think these guys are going to be under pressure. And also Nico for making this move. Second move is Jimmy Butler is going to the Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors acquire 6-time All-Star Jimmy Butler from the Miami Heat. In exchange, the Warriors sent Andrew Wiggins to Miami, with the Utah Jazz and Detroit Pistons also involved in that multi-team deal. Butler's addition aims to bolster the Warriors' championship aspirations, providing a significant boost alongside Steph Curry. What do I think about all this? Jimmy finally got his wish and got out of the Heat organization. The Heat culture is something that Jimmy did not want to be part of anymore. What this signals for me is the Warriors are in win-now mode. A lot of these teams that I'll be talking about here are in win-now mode. That, hey, I'm not thinking so much about the future. I'm thinking about right now. Steph Curry, his years in the league are numbered. It'll be sooner than later when he hangs up his Under Armour sneakers. But these guys are in it to win it right now. And the Warriors hinted that they would be doing some trades during this deadline because right now they're in 11th spot right behind the Sacramento Kings. They're outside looking in as it stands. When you have Jimmy Butler and the competitive spirit that he brings, I think the Warriors, this gives them a better chance. Not necessarily that they're going to be top 6 seed, because they're not going to be that. I think they'll be fighting for a spot, and they'll be leaning in on their experience with Draymond and Steph being on the team and winning several championships with the Warriors. Jimmy Butler has been to the finals and he hasn't delivered. He's been there twice with the Miami Heat against the Lakers 2020, and then also against the Denver Nuggets in, I believe that was 2022. So for the Warriors, it's going to be essential when Steph Curry goes out, because that's when Jimmy Butler is going to be the alpha, where he needs to go to work. And that's where the Warriors have struggled in the past, is like, hey, when Steph goes to the bench, oh, goddamn, like now we're going to be down and it's going to be an uphill battle. But hey, now you have Jimmy. It gives you another versatile star in the league and can get you buckets. And playoff Jimmy is a thing, guys. If these guys make it in the playoffs, look for these guys to make some kind of splash. Next trade, number 3 I wanted to speak about is Brandon Ingram traded to the Toronto Raptors. The Pelicans are one of the worst teams in the NBA. In fact, they're right here in Sacramento right now as we speak. They're playing the Sacramento Kings tonight, and then they play the Kings again twice back-to-back next week. We shall see how that all goes down. The Toronto Raptors strengthened their roster by acquiring Brandon Ingram for the New Orleans Pelicans. In return, the Pelicans received Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk, a first-round pick, and a second-round pick. The Raptors intend to make a deep playoff run with Ingram's scoring prowess. I don't think the Raptors are going to make any noise in the playoffs at all. But what this signals for me is Masai, the GM with the Raptors, is really betting on BI to help that core with Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, and also Scotty Barnes. Brandon Ingram has been in the league for several years. We'll just call him a vet at this point. The younger players are going to be leaning in on him, and he's going to have to be a leader. It'll be interesting how this team all adapts and brings it in all together. I will be rooting for Brandon Ingram, former Lakers players I always be looking at from afar, be cheering them on. They have some draft picks in the future. I think they're going to be getting a top pick in next year's draft. They're going to be really betting on BI and getting a young player during this draft to see how far they can go. The Pelicans, it was sooner or later that they start rebuilding this team, and it just finally happened. Next one is something that has been talked about all season, off season. Fox heads to the Spurs on February 3rd. The Sacramento Kings traded De'Aaron Fox and Jordan McLaughlin to the San Antonio Spurs in a 3-team trade deal involving the Chicago Bulls. In return, the Kings received Zach LaVine from the Bulls, along with Sissoko and multiple draft picks, including a 2027 first-round pick from the Spurs. The Bulls acquired Zach Collins, Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter, and their 2025 first-round pick. The Bulls get their pick back. This move pairs Fox with Wemby in San Antonio, aiming to accelerate the Spurs' rebuilding process. I have been saying it for a while that the Kings needed to move away from Fox sooner than later before the divorce gets way too messy. And you know what? There was a lot of noise here in Sacramento about Fox leaving. From what I'm also being told is Fox was always wanting to get out of here, and he was a scapegoat for everything that went down with Mike Brown and all. Fox has cleared up some of the misconceptions with some of the guys here in Sacramento. I think those guys, Carmichael Dave and D'Lo, will be sharing their thoughts at the top of the week next week. Interesting to see how that all goes. Fox sent over a screenshot about him and Stephon Castle, the young rookie, message after he got traded. Fox just hit a buzzer beater last night, and that shit did not count. Very exciting game. Bridges with a 3, and then Foxy comes through and hits the dagger. He actually scored the go-ahead bucket right before that, too. I was getting my hair done at the time, and I was watching that shit in real time. I'm like, damn. So that was wild. But as far as the San Antonio Spurs, I mean, Victor Wembanyama has mentioned several times that he wants to win now. He doesn't want to be in a rebuilding process. And what better way to get you a guy that's so fast, get you up and down the court. Not a great shooter, but is a decent enough shooter. One-time All-Star. Fox, love him. I wish him all the best. It's time for the Sacramento Kings to hone in on a new change. Zach LaVine with a better showing against the Blazers the other night after not playing so good in his first game here in Sacramento against the Orlando Magic. Franz Wagner just went off in that game. 31 points. I think he went 5 for 6 from 3. Absolutely nuts. So that's what I think about that trade. Last notable trade I wanted to speak about here is DeAndre Hunter to the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cleveland Cavaliers bolstered their wing depth by trading DeAndre Hunter. The Cavaliers bolstered their wing depth by trading for DeAndre Hunter from the Atlanta Hawks. In exchange, the Hawks received Karis LeVert, Yang, and draft picks. Hunter's defensive capabilities and versatility are anticipated to enhance the Cavaliers' competitiveness in the Eastern Conference. I think the Cavs are eyeing that matchup against the Celtics, to keep it a buck, with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, some of the best players in the league and best wings in the league. What this move means for me is the Cavs really want to have good matchups against the Boston Celtics come playoff time. The Hawks, man, I think Trae Young is going to be out of there. Why would you let go of one of your best players? 6th man of the year right now, actually, if we're keeping it a buck. Not so sure what that all means, but I think those guys are going to keep losing games. They won last night, but DeAndre Hunter, I love him. Obviously a Duke product. I love all the Duke players that come up from the ranks, and it's going to be interesting to see if this is going to be enough to beat the defending champions in the Boston Celtics come playoff time. All right. Some other notable trades. The Bucks trade for Kyle Kuzma, so they get him, Jericho Sims, the 2025 second-round pick, 2026 second-round pick. The Wizards receive Chris Middleton from the Bucks. He's been injury-ridden for the last couple of seasons here. Seems like he can't really get healthy 100%, and the Bucks decided to part ways with him. And they get Kyle Kuzma in return. Obviously can score in bunches. I think this is a sign of them wanting to keep Giannis happy. In addition to that, too, they get AJ Johnson, a 2028 first-round pick swap, and the Knicks get Delon Wright, draft rights to Hugo Besson, and cash considerations. Kyle Kuzma, he has won a championship with the Los Angeles Lakers during COVID 2020. I think he's a good asset. Obviously, he did not play very well with the Washington Wizards, given his surroundings. But if Kyle Kuzma is surrounded with players like Giannis and Lillard, I think he will flourish. And that's a good trade for the Milwaukee Bucks. Another trade, Kings acquire Valanciunas from the Wizards, get Jonas, and then the Wizards receive Sissoko and 2 future second-round picks as well. So the Kings really needed size, and they go after Jonas Valanciunas. The big market right now is not handsome as it is, so you cannot be picky if you're the Sacramento Kings. You get what you can get. Valanciunas, not a great defender, but a decent enough defender. In the West, you need size and length. They addressed another trade that they just did a couple of days. Kings also getting Jake LaRavia, who can score in bunches, versatile on both sides of the ball, can get you threes like none other. He can play defense, so the Kings really needed to address the wing depth issue. They get rid of Alex Len and Kobe Jones, who was supposed to be one of their additions that would help that team, and Kobe Jones regressed and they let him go. Understandable where the Kings are coming from here. They're in a win now phase for the assets that they got back. They weren't necessarily looking for young guys for the future. They want guys that can help right now. And Jake LaRavia is young, and he'll be a great addition for the Kings. He hasn't played his first game. I think he'll be playing his first game tonight. So if you're the Kings, for what you got for Fox, you should be content and happy. I know Fox is obviously all-star caliber player and has been killing it so far with the Spurs in the games against the Chicago Bulls, and then last night against the Charlotte Hornets as well. He'll be just fine there. But for what you got back, if you're the Kings and if you're their fan base, you shouldn't be too mad about this move and what you got in return. How do these moves shift the balance of power in the NBA? First thing to call out here is just no player is ever safe from getting traded. That should be a warning sign for a lot of the star players in the league that were put off by this trade. I don't know if there's some kind of conspiracy theory too, but I think Luka has some kind of scandal out there that hasn't been brought out to the public. It would not be to my surprise that stuff ends up leaking out, and that was the main reason why he got let go. Because honestly, you have a franchise player. All right, I get all the fitness stuff and him not coming into camp healthy and all that beard getting taken away by assistant coach Mike Finley. But to keep it a buck, man, there has to be something underlying with this issue with Luka. It has to go more deeper than just basketball. Something might have been happening off the court that we don't know about. So either that or the medical staff noted an injury that maybe Luka could be out for the foreseeable future. I don't want to put bad spells, but I just want to be questioning this move, as a lot of people are still doing that. So if you're any NBA superstar, you are not safe. You can get traded. This is a players' league, but I think this is the first time that we've actually seen players getting shipped out like that in the middle of the season. That's just absolutely crazy. Everybody's still surprised, and rightfully so. This has never happened ever in the NBA. What also this means for a lot of the teams is they're in win now mode, guys, and they need to pick up wins. They're trying to make the play-in, they're trying to make the playoffs, all that. When you have players that are aging, you need to capitalize on their last couple of years and try to win a championship now, and then worry about the future later. You have assets you might have under your belt and capital to make it all happen, or maybe you want to create space in the future. This signifies for me a lot of teams are in win now mode. There's teams that are rebuilding and wanting to kind of start over, and more on that in just a second here. All right, let's talk about one team in the rebuilding and fire sale during the NBA trade deadline. That team goes to the Charlotte Hornets. Right now, they're 13-36, 14th in the East, only above the Washington Wizards. Absolutely terrible. Those guys are not having a good season. LaMelo Ball has been out for some time. I think he's missed close to 30 to 35% of their games this season. It's the first time ever the NBA fan vote did not get selected to play in the NBA All-Star game. We'll talk about that in just a moment as well. These guys are in a rebuilding phase. They're negative $27 million in cap space. They're looking to probably ship off some assets and start it all from the ground up. They have LaMelo Ball obviously not going anywhere. They just got Yusuf Nurkic. Let's talk about that real quick. This notable fire sale that these guys had, getting rid of some of their players, is signaling a shift towards rebuilding, right? They traded promising big man Mark Williams to the LA Lakers and also sent the wing in Cody Martin along with Misic and a 2026 second-round pick to the Phoenix Suns in exchange for center Yusuf Nurkic and a 2026 first-round pick. This move indicates that the Hornets' strategy right now is to accumulate future assets and focus on long-term development. LaMelo Ball making $35 million, Miles Bridges making $27 million, Yusuf Nurkic making $18 million. Overpaid, in my honest, humble opinion there. What this should signal is these guys are looking for the future. You got a young coach, you got some young players, and it's time to focus on the future. We're going to switch gears and now speak about a team that stood pat and why they shouldn't have. So, recent reports indicate that the Phoenix Suns engaged in trade discussions involving Kevin Durant before the 2025 NBA trade deadline, including a potential deal with the Golden State Warriors. However, Durant expressed disinterest in returning to the Warriors if no trade materialized. Apparently, Kevin messaged Steph and let him know, hey, it's not the right time, doesn't feel right, not going to do it. The Suns are currently committed to a core of Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant. However, their future flexibility is limited due to significant asset commitments. Notably, the team has traded away several future first-round picks and granted pick swaps in various years, constraining their ability to make substantial roster changes in the near term. Given these constraints and recent trade discussions, there is speculation that Kevin Durant might consider requesting a trade after the season concludes. An NBA insider has predicted that Durant could seek an exit from Phoenix Suns this summer, especially if the team's performance doesn't meet championship expectations. In summary, while the Suns have assembled a very nice trio, their limited future assets and recent trade rumors involving KD contribute to uncertainty around the team's long-term cohesion. Let's break that down a little bit. Kevin Durant, there's been several teams that reached out to them before the deadline closed on Thursday. None of those were no dice, couldn't make it happen, but Durant's rightfully pissed about being in these discussions when you've been in the league for as many years as he has, and to be dangled out there in the world. We saw what happened with the whole Luka thing, but he is not very happy, and I think he wants out. Don't have the record right in front of me, but the team has a losing record when Durant is not out there. Started off the year pretty damn well. KD got hurt. They ended up picking up some losses during that time. He's back. They're not doing great. They play against the Denver Nuggets tonight. We'll see how that all goes down between those two teams. Given all this information, that's going to want out. And Bradley Beal, he has a long contract, or as far as his number, paying him $50 million this year. I think you get rid of Durant and you get rid of Bradley Beal, and that opens up a little bit more room for the team, because right now you can't really do too much with this roster. Don't really have a solid depth chart, and you need that in the West. And in the playoffs, you're going to definitely need that. Another team that didn't do very much at all is the New York Knicks. Not really much to say there. They have a bench that is in the bottom of the league, because you know why? Thibodeau plays his starters very heavy minutes, as we've discussed in the past. And the Knicks are playing the Boston Celtics today. It'll be interesting to watch how that all goes down. They did a lot of business in the offseason, getting Bridges and Carr, Anthony Towns. They're starting five here, but they also stood pat. All right, let's talk about under the radar steal during this NBA trade deadline. I'm only going to have one, and that is the Cleveland Cavaliers acquisition of DeAndre Hunter from the Atlanta Hawks stands out as a under the radar steal for me during this deadline. Hunter is averaging 19 points with 56% effective field goal percentage this season, and he brings in versatility on both sides of the court to play with the Cavs, and that's going to enhance their playoff prospecting in the future. We talked about it earlier. I'm not going to go full in depth about it, but this is a great pickup, and if you wanted to make noise come playoff time. Last thing we're going to talk about in this NBA trade deadline talk, the winner and the loser. Who are the winners? Who are the losers? Let's break that down real quick. The winner is the Los Angeles Lakers. Although I was really pissed about this in the very beginning, giving away AD, talked about that. They are clear winners because they got Luka, and now you're going to start to build around him. Mark Williams, I haven't really seen him play too much, so I can't give you guys analysis of what I think about him. But from what I've been seeing and being told is he brings in that lob catch for Luka, gives him another weapon that Luka would like to play with. Those are discussions those guys had when Luka was brought in. They're going to build this team around JJ Redick's offense and their point guard in Luka, even after LeBron leaves. I'm not so sure how this is all going to go down with Luka and LeBron being primary ball handlers for the team. If it's anybody that can play with anybody, that's LeBron fucking James, man. Who's the loser in this? That's the Phoenix Suns. These guys don't have a clear bench, which you're going to absolutely need. And now you have your biggest star on the team in Kevin Durant, mad and upset that you're talking with other teams about potential deals. I would be fucking pissed too. KD, you're going to have plenty of options come in the offseason if you do request a trade. This is a player-driven league. Talked about that many times in the past. I think he'll give a list of teams that he would want to go to. If he hasn't done that already, he's probably just focusing in on this particular season right now. It wouldn't surprise me if he gives them a list of teams that he wants and teams that he definitely does not want. And that could set up a lot of teams wanting to clear out cap space for KD. So that is that. We're going to now move on to another section and speak about the All-Star Weekend. So let's go ahead and break that down. Different events happening. First, we're going to talk about the Rising Stars game. Tim Hardaway Sr., Mitch Richmond, Chris Mullin, those guys are going to be honorary coaches. We'll break down the players that have been chosen for this particular game, and then I'll give my prediction on who I think is going to win. So let's go ahead and break that down. Tim Hardaway team consists of Brendan Podemski, Mihakis Jr., Grady Dick, Anthony Black, Zachary Risachet, Alex Sarr, and Tristan Da Silva. Mason Wallace was picked to play in this game, but he's out with an injury. That's why Pods from the Golden State Warriors is taking over the reins there. Mitch Richmond's team, Amen Thompson, Asor Thompson, Bilal Coulibaly, Scoot Henderson, Tumani Kamara, Yves Missi, and Bob Harrington. Nice team that Mitch got going on there. And the last team, TMC in the C, and Chris Mullin. His team consists of Stephon Castle, Dalton Connect, Jalen Wells, Keontae George, Zach Edey, Trace Jackson Davis, and Ryan Dunn. There's another team as well. That is the Team G League, headed up by Jeremy Lin, and that team consists of J.D. Davison, Mac McClung, Bryce McGowans, Leonard Miller, Dink Pate, Reed Shepard, and Pat Spencer. Pretty good list during this game on Friday. A lot of good players, up-and-coming stars in the league, and when I took a look at this, I was like, damn. You really can't go wrong with any of these teams. I would go with Chris Mullin's team. I think he adds a lot of exciting players on this team. You got shooters, you got bigs. I think that team will probably end up winning the game. So that's my guess. Chris Mullin's team wins this game. Let's move on now. Speak about the skills challenge. 2025 participants. So we got Team Cavs, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley. Team Rooks, Zachary Ricochet and Alex Sarr. Team Spurs, Chris Paul and Victor Wembanyama. Team Spurs. Team Warriors, that's Draymond Green and Moses Moody. I like the pairings that the committee chose for this particular event. I just don't think Draymond and Alex Sarr should be in this contest whatsoever. I mean, Draymond, he's not a player necessarily that players or fans want to watch, right? But they did this obviously because, hey, he's been there for several years. He's a vet, and they're kind of rewarding him for the game being in San Francisco. When I say that too, to Alex Sarr, started off really slow, kind of picked up a little bit better to how he first started, but that's no disrespect to these two players. I just don't think those two players should be in there. Guys, I get it. If Jalen Johnson was healthy right now, he would be the right pairing with Zachary here, and he's not because he's out for the rest of the year. Instead of these two, I think it should have been Ja Morant and Zach Edey. I think those guys should have been selected to play in this because you're rewarding good play. Those guys are top 3 in the West right now. Fans love to watch Ja Morant, and you got the big guy in Zach Edey. Ja Morant also low-key should be in the dunk contest. He's electrifying, exciting to watch, has missed a good chunk of this season, but I think those players should have been the ones to be in this skills challenge. And who do I select to win this? I'm picking Team Spurs, Victor Wembanyama and Chris Paul. Got the point guard and the up-and-coming star in Victor Wembanyama getting a lot of shine. Let's move on now. 3-point contestants. There's 8 players taking part in this February 15th at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. I'll read off the players that are going to be participating, and then I did you guys a favor as well. I got their 3-point percentage this season right now. So let's go ahead and break that down. We got Jalen Brunson, 40%, Cade Cunningham, 35%, Darius Garland shooting 43%, Tyler Hero, 39%, Buddy Hield, 37%, Cam Johnson, 42%, Damian Lillard, 38%, two-time defending champion, by the way, and Norman Powell with 41%. I like this list as a whole. I just think that Malik Beasley should have been on this list. That boy went off last night against the 76ers. Career high. I think he had, 36, 37 points doing that. And he's shooting 38% from distance this season. If you're keeping up, that's better than Buddy Hield and Cade Cunningham and matches Dame Lillard. He's made 200 3-pointers this season, only behind Anthony Edwards, who actually should be on this list as well because he's the youngest player ever to have 1,000 3-pointers this young. And who would I take out? I'll take out Cade and Buddy and replace those two. Simple as that. Funny thing is with this contest is a player can be a great 3-point shooter in the league, right? Live in action during the games. But when the pressure is on you and everyone's looking at you and it's the main event, it's just you out there, not everybody performs the best. We've seen that time and time again. I got Darius Garland, guys, and not that he just has the best 3-point percentage on this list, but man, that boy can get threes. I could say Dame Lillard because he's number 2, and that was kind of hard for me. I don't think Lillard's going to repeat. You got new sheriffs in town, and Darius Garland got chosen for his first All-Star game. I'm picking him to win this contest. That's Darius Garland, Cleveland Cavaliers. Let's move on. We got the slam dunk contest. Participants, who we got? We got Matas Buzelis, my Rookie of the Year, who is not going to win Rookie of the Year. Stephon Castle from the Spurs. Andre Jackson Jr. from the Bucks. Last but not least, Mac McClung. This slam dunk contest is weak in my opinion. A lot of you fans will probably agree with me when I say that. The best dunkers never really want to take part in this contest. The last one that we had was Jaylen Brown the other year. I get it from their perspective, like, hey, it would tarnish my reputation. But I say, fuck that, man. The fans want to see a good show. Folks are paying good money for this. Why not give us a good show that we rightfully deserve during this All-Star weekend? Why the fuck not? To kind of keep it short and keep it moving. I picked Mac to win last year, and he won it, and 2-time champion, going for the 3-peat this year. What am I going to do for my prediction? I'm going to pick him again to go 3-peat on this. I think he takes the trophy home. Next year, I want to see the vets, high flyers, to be on this list. If you're still listening to this, I appreciate it. We're going to move on to the last section of this pod, and that's the All-Star game rosters my prediction and thoughts. Let's go and break that down. The All-Star game is taking place next Sunday, February 16th at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. Central time. Can't forget about you Central folks. Cannot do that. Let's go and break it down. We got Team Shaq. LeBron, Steph, Anthony Davis, Jason Tatum, Kevin Durant, Dame, James Harden, and Jaylen Brown. Team Kenny, you got Anthony Edwards, Jalen Brunson, Jaren Jackson Jr., Jalen Williams, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Cade Cunningham, Tyler Hero rounds up Team Kenny. Team Chuck, you got the Joker, Giannis, SGA, Wembanyama, Siakam, Alperen Sengun, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Donovan Mitchell. When we take a look at this list, Team Kenny went for first time All-Stars in Tyler Hero, Cade, Mobley, Garland, and Jalen Williams. Shaq's team, he went with some vets and shooters. Lastly, Chuck went for size. When we take a look at this, Shaq went for Steph Curry, LB, Kevin Durant. Those guys are that trio, three-headed snake that have been in the league for quite a while. Shaq was leaning on players that have been in this All-Star game plenty of times and has proven themselves. And then as far as Chuck goes, he went for length and athleticism. Look at all these big guys that he chose. Karl-Anthony Towns, AP, Victor, Giannis, the Joker. Obviously, Chuck being a big himself, I think he was being biased and chose the big fellas out of that list. My prediction on who's going to win this, I got Team Shaq. I think they'll get it done. Big-time competitors on his team. A lot of shooting for those spray threes. Those guys are going to win the championship and get that bonus to add to their checks. Not that couple $100,000 wouldn't hurt, right? Team Shaq's going to win this game next Sunday. Tomorrow, Super Bowl Sunday. Let's wrap things up. And that is a wrap on this episode of Shot Clock Scribbles. We broke down all the biggest moves from the NBA trade deadline, talked winners and losers, and set the stage for what's next as we head into the All-Star weekend next weekend. If you enjoyed the episode, do me a solid. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Give me 5 stars if you can. It really helps me grow. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Shot Clock Scribbles and YouTube at TENDAI530 for more NBA takes, trade reactions, and all-star predictions. I'll be back soon, guys, talking more hoops with you guys. Love you guys. Until then, stay locked in and enjoy the all-star weekend next week. I'm going to try my best to attend something here and there. I don't know. We'll see if I can get plugged in and come back with some heat for you guys. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Until then, guys, it's a wrap. Enjoy the rest of your day. I appreciate you listening. Follow me on social media. Say what's up. Don't be a stranger. And catch you on the next pod. Ciao.